Hi, and welcome to the Jack and Ian Show. This is our third episode of the show. Today on the show, we're going to get to a lot of different things, including the NFL in this last week. We're going to get to some college football action. Jackson, of course, will have all your betting picks for next week. On top of that, we will be starting a new segment today. So you think you know about soccer. That's exciting. I cannot wait to learn about soccer and the sport and all it has to offer. We also will get to some baseball playoffs as those are going on right now. Although to start, I will say we're in a different room this time.
Yes, we are. Yeah, so we had some trouble getting our normal room, but we have to make do with what's available. So right now, this is our podcast room. So hopefully next week we'll be back in our normal habitat.
Yes.
But for this week, this will have to do. But I'm sure it's fine with
I feel like it works pretty well. I think we're going to have a good episode. I feel good about it.
Totally.
I do. So that said, let's go ahead and get this thing started with some NFL talk from this last weekend.
Let's do it.
With some players of the week. Ian, what do you got for me?
Let's do it. So I'm going to start off the podcast the same way we do with everyone, and let's get into the players of the week. And so the first player of the week, this guy isn't the most well-known player. He's not the biggest star in the NFL, but this weekend he went off with the Atlanta Falcons, and this is Cordarrelle Patterson. Cordarrelle Patterson over the last few years, and ever since he was drafted by the Vikings, has been a bit of a utility man. He was a return specialist, a running back, wide receiver, a punt specialist. So this guy is the ultimate utility man. And actually this weekend with the Falcons, even though he lost, he was probably their brightest spot, whether that was on special teams or offense just in general. And so just a few stats for him this weekend. He had 6 rushes for 34 yards, nothing spectacular, but he had 5 receptions for 82 yards and 3 total touchdowns. And, again, even though they lost to the Washington football team, I thought this would be a really nice time to kind of highlight somebody that doesn't get that much recognition, but really should.
Yeah, no, that's always nice when you have a player like that that's kind of earned his keep in the NFL. He's not necessarily anybody that gets major jersey sales or anything like that, but it's nice to see a guy like that kind of explode in a game and really go off like that with 3 touchdowns. Could not be more happy for that guy.
Yeah.
Who's our AFC player of the week?
So the AFC player of the week, it's a huge superstar, and it's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill went absolutely crazy this weekend against the Philadelphia Eagles when the Chiefs beat them 42-30. And Tyreek Hill, he's been killing fantasy teams this year. He's been great for my fantasy team this year, and he was great this weekend. He had 11 receptions, 186 yards, and 3 total touchdowns. And, this was a great game for the Chiefs. They were playing the Eagles, so obviously I think everyone expected them to win. But it was a good way for the Chiefs to kind of bounce back after losing 2 games in a row. And, he had a great game. Mahomes played super well. Mahomes, although he had an interception, he did throw for 5 touchdowns, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, had a great day rushing as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great game, 42-30, super high scoring, explosive offenses. Jalen Hurts also had an excellent game, throwing for 387 yards. Really just a good offensive outing for both teams. The Eagles got to see their quarterback play well, but the Chiefs really got a chance to rebound against an Eagles team that has now been absolutely walloped the last 2 weeks against the Cowboys and now the Chiefs.
Exactly.
It's been tough for them going against 2 of the best offenses in the NFL for the last 2 weeks. So it's kind of too bad for them.
Yeah.
This was a good week, however, for upset. We talked about underdogs with our player of the week and how it's kind of nice to see them do well. We saw it also with teams.
Yeah. And actually this week, so instead of doing games of the week, we thought about upsets of the week, because there are 2 games in particular that I thought were pretty extraordinary. And so the first game that we're going to talk about is the Jets' first win of the season over the Tennessee Titans in overtime. So again, the Jets, I think everyone expected them this year to do poorly, and don't get me wrong, they're still doing very poorly, but I don't think anyone expected them to beat the Titans this week, and they did.
No.
Zach Wilson, he's been off. He's been off to a pretty poor start in his rookie season, but this week he played really well. He went 21 for 34. He had 297 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he did have 1 pick that kind of taints that stat line, but honestly, he played fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with you. This is the first good Zach Wilson game that we've seen. You just read the stats, and especially the biggest stat there is the win, with him getting his first ever win as a starting NFL quarterback. But then on the other side, the Titans have got to be pretty concerned, especially with the offensive line. I mean, they were getting back to Tannehill pretty constantly.
7 sacks, actually.
7 sacks. And we talked about, I think 2 shows ago, how the Cardinals were able to get back and really get to Tannehill also. So if you're a Titans fan, you've got to be concerned about that offensive line, particularly when it comes to Tannehill sitting back in the pocket. That wasn't a major issue in the run game. Derrick Henry still got 157 yards on the ground, which is extremely good.
Yeah.
But the 7 sacks has to be just discouraging.
Yeah, and then also one thing that I noticed that was really interesting in the game is that when you look at possession time, I'm not sure if you knew this, but the Titans had 40 minutes and 42 seconds of possession compared to the Jets' 29 minutes and 3 seconds. And so, I mean, this 10-minute difference is huge, and I think everyone would assume that with this huge gap, the Titans should have been more efficient with their time on the ball. But this just tells you how New York was just way more efficient with the ball compared to the Titans, and it also kind of tells you that these sacks really killed Tennessee, because I'm pretty sure Tennessee got into the red zone and definitely onto the Jets' half quite a bit, but these sacks just kept pushing them back and pushing them back. So I thought that was really interesting.
No, you're right. And then the one time that it did flip was overtime.
Yeah.
Right when it got to overtime, the Jets took the ball and kept possession and just ran that clock out, and then ended up winning that game late.
Yeah.
This also was a revenge game. We don't talk about it. I don't know how I'm blanking on this dude's name.
It's all right.
It's Corey Davis.
Oh, yeah.
Corey Davis revenge game. 4 catches, 111 yards. He was drafted top 10 pick by the Titans.
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Big game for Corey Davis against his former team. First time he's played against him since leaving Tennessee.
Yeah.
Big game for Corey Davis.
Yeah, and so anyways, congratulations to Robert Saleh. He was a great defensive coordinator for the Niners. He took the job in New York for the Jets, and I think everyone was kind of pulling for him and Zach Wilson to get their first win, and they finally did.
Yes.
And so anyways, moving on to the next upset of the week. This is going to be yet another overtime win, but this time between the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. This was just a crazy game all around. I do want to give a shout out to a few players. Daniel Jones was fantastic. The guy was 28 for 40. He threw for 402 yards, 2 touchdowns, and he did have a pick. But Daniel Jones has played great. He's shown even last season that not only can he throw, but he can still run with the ball as well and kind of pick up yardage with his feet. And so I thought he played super well. Saquon Barkley, he didn't have the most yards rushing or catching, but when you put it together, he had 126 total yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns, one of which was a game winner. So I think he definitely earns a shout out. And then Kenny Golladay, someone that I'm not super crazy about, at least when it comes to fantasy. I don't know about you guys out there, but he had 6 receptions, 116 yards, and he definitely proved to be a vital point for the Giants in their 27-21 win over New Orleans.
Yeah, no, that was a big win for them. New Orleans, that's got to sting because it's the Giants. You're happy for Daniel Jones, though. I mean, he's shown flashes of being a good quarterback. It just comes down to really just consistency and being able to do what he did against the Saints on a weekly basis, and whether or not he can do that. Another game that happened this week was the Tom Brady return to the Patriots. It kind of felt like, the Patriots are some like mob family or something, and Brady kind of left the family business, and he finally came back, had a return, and he was able to
He was able
to pull out that win over the Patriots. It came down to a missed field goal right at the end. And a game that was really just down in the mud. Great game. Brady didn't play great. He was 22 for 43. But, that was interesting. And then apparently also Brady and Belichick had like a secret meeting after the game or whatever, which makes me even be like, more, this is like a mob family type of thing or whatever. But like, it was, I don't know. It was an interesting game, especially with Brady kind of making a return to a place where he had been for so long.
Yeah, definitely. And anyways, moving on now, we do want to do a preview of next weekend's game, which is actually going to be in London. It's going to be 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So, folks, if you're either a Jets fan or a Falcons fan, which, first of all, I feel bad for you guys just for being fans for those two teams, but you guys are going to have to wake up super early to watch this game on Sunday.
They'll be the only people waking up early to watch the game.
Exactly.
Nobody else will wake up at that time specifically to watch that game.
Yeah, and also, I just wanted to say, I mean, I totally get how the NFL wants to expand their brand abroad and like in the UK and things like that, but could you not have chosen two worse teams to go represent your league?
Jets Falcons. It's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
Bad matchup. Anyway, I guess there's one more game. That's the Raiders Chargers game. I have to bring it up. Not because I want to. I do want to, but it's my job. And last night, the Chargers, Justin Herbert showed why he had an MVP type of performance against the Raiders. Made the Raiders look like an XFL team.
Yes. And as a Raiders fan, yes, I will admit to that. So.
Yeah, it was a tough game for the Raiders yesterday. Had to bring it up.
Yeah.
Had to bring up a little bit of pain.
For sure.
Justin Herbert did play very well. It is interesting, though, like, you see those Charger games and stuff, and, like, there are more at those games, like that game, it's in LA, yet there are more Raiders fans than there are Chargers fans.
Yes. Yeah.
And like that game was just, everything about it, to the rain delay, even though it's an arena, like it's an indoor stadium.
Yeah.
And they had a rain delay.
Yeah.
How stupid is that? That is just ridiculous. I don't know
I think it was just lightning.
A factor?
It was lightning, but I thought their stadium was indoors. I mean, you know what? I guess it could
indoors.
Be indoor, outdoor. Maybe that was the issue, that they had some openings, but honestly, I have no idea what their issue was. But anyways, that actually kind of brings us to our next topic, and these are going to be a bit of kind of more fun, just kind of lighthearted, topics and conversations. So these are all off the field antics, and so that was one of them.
That the Chargers got booed at home, and it wasn't because they suck. They're very good. It was because there are more Raiders fans than Chargers fans in LA.
Yeah. So that was our first topic. And then the second one, I think you would like to talk to this, but it's Steve Belichick making faces on the sideline mid-game. He pretty much stole the show.
He did.
That guy's face was on
Ruined
every
Brady's
NFL
return.
Every NFL meme page.
Yes.
But
he was. That felt like a bigger story than Brady's return.
Yeah.
If you were on social media, that dude was everywhere. And there was stuff about Brady or whatever, but Steve Belichick's face was all over the place.
Yeah.
If you have not seen it, look it up. It looks like, like a dog at a dog park before you're about to throw the ball. This dude's like tongue is out just wagging. Like, I don't know what his mind, how he's thinking in that moment, but I don't know. I think he's just enjoying the game.
Linebacker coaches are different, man.
They are.
They are their own entity. But anyways, the next topic we want to get to is Vic Fangio and the kind of conflict that went on at the end of that Ravens-Broncos game, when the Ravens had that long streak of rushing for more than 100 yards in consecutive games.
Right.
And I think, was it 42, 43?
It was something ridiculous.
Yeah, and so basically what happened was that late on in the fourth quarter, the backup for the Broncos, Drew Lock, threw a pick in the end zone. Ravens got it back, and they were 3 yards away from that 100-yard mark rushing. And so John Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson, he made sure that they ran for about 3, 4, 5 yards to pick up that 100-yard rushing day and to basically, extend that streak. And Vic Fangio was a bit butthurt, if I'm being completely honest.
He was being no fun. From the perspective, I understand where Fangio is coming from a player safety issue or whatever. But, at the same time, if you're John Harbaugh and you're that close, like if it's like you're 20, 30 yards away, no, you're not going to keep going. You've won the game, but if you're 3 yards away from continuing a streak that's gone on that long, I think you kind of have to.
Yeah.
By that point, it's everybody's going to want to keep the streak going. I mean, that's only human nature. So, yeah, Fangio, I think he's just trying to make something else out of it to distract from bad loss to the Baltimore Ravens, which shout out to the Ravens for having a streak that long. I mean, that is mega impressive. But when you have a running back for a quarterback, is it really?
Yeah.
So,
But anyways, so our very last off-the-field antic, I don't think this will surprise any of you guys, but let's just be honest. I don't think Urban Meyer's taking that 0-4 start that hard, just based off of the footage that was kind of brought up and dug up from his night out in Ohio.
Let me say this. When I found out that Urban Meyer was doing something like that on a Saturday night, I was astonished.
Yeah.
I was astonished, Ian, because Urban Meyer is known for retiring for his family. And right after he retires from his family, he gets so sick of them, he is willing to find any job. Any job.
Yeah.
So much so that he'll work for Fox as an analyst. Urban Meyer retired, if you'll go back with me to the 2000s, Urban Meyer retired from Florida for health issues and to spend more time with family because of those health issues. After about a year, he said, to hell with these health issues, get me away from my family.
Yeah.
I got to start coaching football again. So I am astonished that Urban Meyer would do this.
Yeah, and also in his apology video, he's like, hey, I was just going there to see the grandkids. So
he got slipping. He clearly had some drinks in him. It was his restaurant or whatever. Yeah. The main part of it, though, is that he didn't fly back with his team.
Yeah.
Like that. Dude, you can't do that, man.
Especially after a loss, and being 0-4, you kind of have to stick with the team even through the toughest of times. I mean, I'm not trying to question his heart for the team and his determination, but it's probably not what you want to see from your head coach, especially as a fan and let alone as a player. So.
Yeah, and I mean, instead of flying back with the team, he got caught with fingers in places that are trying to get their fashion and merchandising degree from Ohio State. So. That's just Urban Meyer being Urban Meyer. He's done stuff like this. He'll continue to do stuff like this. The difference now is that he's losing.
Yep.
When you as the head coach, and you've seen stuff about how players have now lost respect for him. Like that stuff's been leaked that players are like, I don't know if I can respect this guy anymore because he's preaching like, hey, you don't want to be that guy that's the off the field issue. Yeah. Be responsible. You're representing this team. And then he goes out and does something like this on a Saturday night, gets caught in 4K. Then, you're going to lose respect around the organization. And especially to be 0-4 and pulling something like this, it's so much worse. And especially, the missing the flight home from the football standpoint, you're 0-4. You got to be with the team. This is where you got to kind of be like, okay, we're going to come together. And then just to completely separate yourself from them after a heartbreaking loss where you were up most of the game to Cincinnati on the road in prime time on Thursday night. That's tough, man. Yeah. That's really bad.
Yeah.
So...
But anyways, we had to bring this up. We didn't want to make it an Urban Meyer bashing, episode, but it was definitely something that had to be brought up.
Yes.
Anyways, moving on from NFL news and recaps, Jack, you've got some stuff for
I do.
For college football?
I have some college football stuff. Thank you, Bo Nix, for turning it around. Got pulled against Georgia State. Was able to go on the road at LSU in an 8 o'clock night game, get a win. Against an SEC opponent. Bo Nix, historically bad on the road against a good opponent. So that was a big win for Auburn. On the other side of that, I had a buddy actually that showed me this, so I'm not taking the credit for this analogy. But he said the state of LSU football right now is Ed Ogeron, the coach at LSU, is like a bad spouse, and 2019 and the 2019 season and championship is like the kid. And it is time for a divorce because Ed Ogeron sucks. He's a terrible coach. He happened to have awesome coordinators and awesome players in 2019. It's time to kind of let go. Get rid of Ed. It's time to move on. Another game that happened was the Alabama-Ole Miss game. Honestly, we watched this
we watched this up in our dorm.
Alabama destroyed Ole Miss. They destroyed Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin made some very questionable calls. He went for it on fourth down multiple times in the first half in their own territory, giving Alabama an extremely short field in a game where Alabama already had a ton of momentum. It just felt like they were setting themselves up for failure. Matt Corral is making me eat my words. He played a bad game against Alabama. I thought he was a good Heisman favorite, especially if they even just played Alabama close, which they did not. Final score was 21-42. Doesn't reflect the game, really. I mean, Alabama was just whooping them and then just kind of laid off the gas. Another game was Georgia killing Arkansas. That's another SEC matchup where it was two top 10 teams, and Georgia just absolutely pounded them. I mean, from the word go, they're up 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. And, I mean, poor Arkansas, they had so much hope after having a couple bad years there coming into this. I think they're still going to be a good team the rest of the season. I just think Georgia is unbelievably good. Another game is Stanford beating Oregon as only Oregon could lose. Oregon was number 4 in the country, and in true Oregon fashion, they lost to a bad opponent. That's what Oregon does, is they're very good. They're like a 10-11 win team, and their losses are against opponents that they should easily beat. Losing to Stanford in overtime is very bad. We'll see if they can turn around and make a playoff run. One more game, and then we're going to play a game. Kentucky finally beat Florida for the first time at home since the year 1986. Now, Kentucky beaten Florida on the road more recently, but that was in Gainesville. They hadn't beaten them in Lexington since 1986. That was an awesome game. I think Kentucky's going to be an absolutely good team for the rest of the season. I think they're a top 3 team in the SEC East for sure. They've proven that by this point. I think they're a dark horse in the East. I think Georgia's going to ultimately win the SEC simply because I think they have an absolutely unbelievably good defense and a stud quarterback in JT Daniels. But good for Kentucky for being able to have a good SEC win. That said, I promised a game a minute ago. So, Ian, we're going to see how much you know about the year 1986.
1986. Oh,
yes,
boy.
Yes.
I like music from the 80s. I'm not sure if I know much about it, but
You might be able to get this, though. Okay, in 1986, what song was at the top of the charts for the most weeks, if you had to guess?
In 1986?
1986.
I'd probably say, I don't know the title, but it's that Rick Astley song, I feel like.
Never Gonna Give You Up, that's what you think?
Yeah, that's what I think.
Never Gonna Give You Up.
That's what I'm...
That's a decent guess. You're incorrect. I'll give you one or two more.
I'll give
you a hint. I'll give you one hint that's pretty broad, and then I'll give you one hint that's specific. This dude, this is kind of a pop, I don't know. This was in the movie Rio. If you watched that movie, did you ever watch that movie?
If I did, it was a long time ago.
This was in that movie. For 2 seconds, they had a joke about it.
Okay.
I don't know how that just popped in my head. That wasn't a hint I planned on giving, but that's the reference I got.
I think I'm going to need a different one. If you have...
This dude was a part of a group before he did this as a solo career. He was in a bigger group.
86.
And then he kind of had a solo career.
I want to say it's probably not Freddie Mercury, but
no, it wasn't no Freddie Mercury thing.
Oh,
okay, now more.
Sorry,
specific.
folks at home.
This is the very specific hint. This dude is either currently or was a judge on American Idol. The singer.
The singer was okay.
So the year is 1986. He was originally in a group that was more than just him. Then he had a solo career, and he is now or was before a judge on American Idol.
Oh God,
the singer.
God, I need to go through the judges. I mean, I know Simon Cowell wasn't a singer.
Nope, Simon Cowell was.
Randy Jackson was not a singer.
Nope.
Keith Urban, but I don't know.
Not 1986, not Keith Urban.
Oh my gosh. Dude, I'm
I'll give you more. Current judge of American Idol.
Current
They should
judge?
completely give it away.
Current Judge? Oh, Lionel Richie, bro.
There you go.
Hello?
Say You, Say Me by Lionel Richie. Top of the charts in 1986. Right. That was the top of the charts the last time Kentucky beat Florida at home. We'll do three more. These are three very famous movies that came out in 1986.
Oh God.
What were three movies? These are all three classics, like classics. If you were like thinking of 80s movies, what like
I'm terrible
top
at
things
movies.
that come to mind? Pun intended, by the way. Top things that come to mind.
Dude, I don't know. Back to the Future?
That's in this. That's like same type of classic we're talking about, but it's not Back to the Future.
There's three?
Three very classic movies came out this year.
Oh my God, I'm terrible.
One of them's sci-fi. Classic sci-fi film.
Aliens?
Aliens
Yeah,
came
let's
out
go.
in 1986.
Let's go.
Not 19. I said 1983 a minute ago. Aliens came out in 1986. You got two more.
I'm proud of that. Okay, Aliens.
One of them's a Tom Cruise movie.
Oh, Top Gun.
Top Gun came out in 1986.
Hey, shout out to CJ Westlow for showing me that movie. I just watched it probably 3 weeks ago. So if
there you go.
Him,
1986 Top Gun. One more. This one is a classic.
Oh God.
1986.
Any hints? Any hints? Folks at home, do you guys have anything?
Okay. I gotta think of a good one. Good hint. Takes place in high school. Like it's with high school age kids.
Okay, no.
Classic movie.
Fun Times at Ridgemont High?
What?
Fun Times at Ridgemont High?
No. This has very quotable lines. It's quoted all the time.
Oh, man, I don't know.
Quoted constantly.
I don't know, man. You gotta pull the cord.
The answer is Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Oh. Oh my God! How did I miss that?
Yeah, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Aliens, Top Gun, 1986. The last time the Kentucky Wildcats beat the Florida Gators at home.
How did I not get that last one?
Insane.
Oh my gosh, that's one of my most favorite movies of all time.
It's a classic, man.
Yeah.
I told high school classic 80s movie. Man.
Principal Rooney, man. No, but
all right, that's what we got for college football for the day. I think we're gonna throw it over now to Jackson with some sports betting for this upcoming weekend. Then we'll come back with a new segment we've got. So you think you know about soccer? We'll come back in a minute.
All right, Jackson, take it away.
Hello again, sports fans. I'm back with another 5 picks and a can't lose parlay. 2 and 3 last week, counted as bye week. Totally my fault. I take complete blame for those picks. I also blame the teams for losing, but my fault. 13, 3, and 11 overall. That's still winning. Still a winner. First pick, Georgia, minus 14.5 at Auburn. UGA is the best team in the country, easily. They just demolished top 10 Arkansas. They have one of, if not the best defense in the country, and they've beaten Auburn in 4 straight games. That's why I'm picking them minus 14.5. They covered last week against Arkansas with a minus 16.5 spread, so I take them minus 14.5 this week. Second game, staying in the SEC, Alabama, minus 17.5 at Texas A&M. The 12th man at Kyle Field is non-existent. There's no home field advantage for them anymore. Bama's 5-3 against the spread this season, or in its last 8, 8-0 straight up in its last 8 versus the Aggies. The over is hit 3 straight times. Keep that in mind. May want to take that this week. Bama steamrolled top 25 Ole Miss last week, and the Aggies are on the downslope. Their backup, Zach Calzada, is not good, and he will not be good the rest of the season if he stays in. Going to the Big 12 for our third pick, West Virginia plus 3 at Baylor. West Virginia is 5-2-1 in their last 8 against the spread. The underdog is 4-1 against the spread in the last 5 meetings in this matchup. Bounce back game for West Virginia. Had a bad game against Texas Tech last week. Baylor is 17-16 against the spread in its last 23 as home favorites. Keep that in mind. They're playing in Waco. Keep that in mind. Take West Virginia plus 3. Louisville minus 2.5 at UVA. Versus UVA. It's in Louisville. Take the under in this one too. It's hit 5 times in a row in this game. Honestly, this was a pick'em game. These teams are both so evenly matched, but I think home field advantage takes this one. Louisville wins by at least 3. Take that. It's a gut pick. Strong gut. Nebraska going to the Big Ten. Nebraska plus 3.5 versus Michigan. Harbaugh chokes in the spotlight. He sucks. He's an awful coach. Harbaugh chokes in the spotlight. Nebraska's 5-1 against the spread in its last 6 games. Michigan 1-6 against the spread in its last 7 conference games. This is the game that Scott Frost turns Nebraska around and saves his job for the season. Those are my 5 picks for this week. Can't lose parlay real quick. Broncos +1 at Pittsburgh. Dodgers moneyline versus Cardinals in the wild card game. Islanders moneyline versus Rangers in the hockey. That's my picks. You'll be here next week for more picks because I win you money. Thanks. See you next week.
All right, Jackson, thank you so much for those bets of the week. Again, listen to this guy. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't. So, anyways, moving on to some soccer news. So, this is going to be the new segment on our show. Jack, what do we call it?
It's called So You Think You Know About Soccer. This is what I'm excited for. Ian knows a lot about soccer. I do not, but I like to think I do. So we're going to see how that goes. I have no notes on this. 0 soccer notes. He has a ton. So I'll be here for you laymen out there, help ask some questions. Get this whole soccer thing figured out.
Yeah. So hopefully I can explain this to you so it makes sense.
Yes.
But first off, we're gonna primarily stay within the Premier League because to me that's the world's most competitive league and it's the league that has the most quality players. So we're gonna kind of stay there unless something else happens in a different league in Europe.
I agree.
But anyways, moving on to the first point, there's been a lot of talk about Jack Grealish moving to Manchester City. Because this summer, Manchester City were looking at players like Jack Grealish, but also there's a guy who, I'm not sure if you guys have heard of him, but his name's Lionel Messi. He was on their radar for sure, and they weren't able to get him because he just cost too much. But there's another player on Manchester City's radar who was a bit more affordable, and his name was Harry Kane. He came from Tottenham Hotspur. And so in the summer, basically what happened is that Manchester City went to Aston Villa, which is where Jack Grealish played for, and they offered them $100 million British pounds as a transfer fee for Jack Grealish, which Aston Villa gladly accepted. And so Jack Grealish has been with Manchester City since the start of the season, but he's played 10 games for City, and in all competitions, he's only scored 2 goals and he has 1 assist.
Really?
And so coming from a player that essentially cost you £100 million, you're expecting a lot more production from them.
Right.
And this transfers to any other sport where if they were, if someone got a big contract, you'd be expecting them to post numbers that are pretty unbelievable. And so basically, I want to talk about this because there's a huge controversy around whether or not Manchester City should have gone for Jack Grealish or if they should have gone for Harry Kane. And personally, I think Jack Grealish is a great signing for them. But if you look at City's lineup and their depth, they already have 4 wingers, and some of them can't even get onto the field.
Right.
And Jack Grealish is a winger, by the way. And so Manchester City had a Spanish winger in Ferran Torres. They had Riyad Mahrez, Bernardo Silva, and Raheem Sterling. And when they were looking for players to bring in, they needed to look for a true number 9, a center forward, which Jack Grealish is not. And so I was really surprised when they brought him in because they're bringing someone in to the team where they already have an abundance of players in that position. So I was really caught off guard with why they brought Jack Grealish in instead of Harry Kane. And one thing that I think Manchester City should have done was that they should have taken a portion of the transfer fee that they offered for Jack Grealish and actually put that towards the Harry Kane offer, because Manchester City offered $137 million to Tottenham for Harry Kane, but Tottenham rejected that. And so part of me wonders if maybe, could they have taken $30 million off of the Jack Grealish transfer fee and gone for Harry Kane instead, or possibly put in the complete $100 million towards Harry Kane as well, just so it's an offer that Tottenham couldn't resist.
Right. What I've gathered here for you is that Jack Grealish, I think I said that right, he got too much money and is underperforming in a position that Manchester City doesn't need.
Yes.
Harry Kane, did I say that right?
Yep.
I thought his first name was Harry. I remembered it was Kane, but I wasn't sure. Harry Kane actually fills a position of need. Mm-hmm. He would have been more expensive, but he actually would have been able to produce in a situation in an area of need, and that's not good for Man City.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So basically, that's my biggest takeaway. And again, pundits in the Premier League, around the Premier League, on Sky Sports and things like that, they've been talking about this. And again, it's not that Jack Grealish is a bad player. It's just when you're looking for what you need and for how much you can get them for it, you need to really narrow it down to something specific instead of being like, hey, we can get this winger who's a quality player, but does he fit our needs? Because what Manchester City are trying to do is win a title and a Champions League title, and they haven't been able to do that yet. And I personally don't think Jack Grealish will help them win that.
I don't
but
either.
Harry Kane would.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%. That's exactly what I thought. So, good job.
So yeah, that was the first kind of controversial topic. And then moving on now, there's a huge game this weekend on Sunday morning between Manchester City and Liverpool. And this game was fantastic. Liverpool went out ahead first in the 59th minute with a goal from Sadio Mane. He put Liverpool ahead, but then quickly Manchester City leveled the game 1-1. And then after that, Liverpool scored again. Mohamed Salah scored probably a goal of the season candidate. And I mean, he took on 3, 4, 5 guys and just put it in the back of the net past Ederson. It was an incredible goal. But anyways, the game ended up 2-2 at the end. Kevin De Bruyne for Manchester City scored a goal in the 81st minute to tie it. And this game was exactly what everyone expected. You know, some people might have thought, you know, these two powerhouse teams would have canceled each other out in terms of tactics, but it was an end-to-end game, and it was super exciting. But the main controversy that was brought up by a lot of folks was the fact that James Milner, who plays for Liverpool, was playing as a right back. So he was playing out of position because he's a natural midfielder.
Okay.
He was playing as a right back, and he was trying to defend a young English player in Phil Foden. And earlier in the match, James Milner tackled Phil Foden, and he actually got a yellow card for it because it was a rash challenge. He deserved a yellow card, and so that was fine. But later on, before Liverpool scored one of their goals, James Milner actually tackled Bernardo Silva on the sideline, didn't get any bit of the ball, but was not given a yellow card. And it wasn't one of these fouls where it's like, okay, it's a bit soft, you know, so we're not going to give him a second yellow, which would turn into a red and suspend him for the game. But, I mean, this was a straight-up just kind of kick in the leg. Milner left his trailing leg behind him, and Bernardo Silva just completely tripped over him. And people were excuse my language, but people were pissed because later on in the game, just I think 3 or 4 minutes later, James Milner helped Liverpool score their second goal, and he was involved in the build-up play leading up to the goal. And so you know, Manchester City fans were absolutely outrageous.
So what I'm hearing is a man who should have been ejected was not.
Yeah.
And then he later contributed to a win.
Yep. Pretty much. No, to a draw. But
to a draw.
He contributed to one of the goals.
How boring is a draw?
So yeah,
that's boring.
But anyways, that was the biggest controversy of the weekend because, you know, I think everyone except for one person thought that should have been a red card, and the one person that thought it was a no, you know, that he shouldn't have gotten a card was the referee Paul Tierney, and I'm not sure why he didn't hand out a card. Pep Guardiola, Manchester City's manager, was furious on the sideline. He was yelling at the fourth official to review it, but nothing came of it. So that was huge. But anyways, that was basically that for soccer news, Jack.
That's the soccer news?
Yeah.
Well, I certainly learned something. So I hope you did too. I hope I was able to explain it well as a translator, if you will. I certainly learned a lot there. Now it is that time of year again where it is baseball season.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about it's baseball season. Nobody cares about baseball regular season. Baseball playoffs is where it counts. That's where people care. That's where people watch. Tonight we're filming. Almost 11 o'clock now on Tuesday the 5th. So the Yankees-Red Sox game has concluded. The Red Sox won 6-2. That's an absolutely awesome sports rivalry that we got to see tonight. Both had the exact same record, both in the AL East. Great game, tonight. But now we get to, look forward tomorrow. The St. Louis Cardinals play the Dodgers. The Dodgers got to be feeling like they don't belong in the wild card, They are only one game behind the Giants, who have the best record in all of baseball. Yep. So if it weren't for them being in the same division, the Dodgers would not find themselves in this wild card round.
Yeah, no, exactly. And going back to that Yankees-Red Sox game, this was the perfect game for wild card. Two teams that absolutely hate each other, and it was great. Obviously for the Yankees, it was probably the worst performance they could have asked for. Garrett Cole,
right,
their ace, supposed ace, went out there. He had 2 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, 3 earned runs. He walked 2 batters, struck out only 3, and out of those 3 earned runs, he gave up 2 homers. So just wasn't a good night for him.
And I thought the Yankees really had the pitching advantage going into the game. I thought Garrett Cole was a slight advantage. I thought they had a slight advantage in the pen as well, which is why I thought the Yankees were going to edge out the Red Sox, but that proved to be untrue as the Red Sox ended up getting a pretty wide margin of victory on this by beating the Yankees by 4 runs. Good wild card game though. There'll be another one tomorrow night as Cardinals, who have been one of the hottest teams in the MLB, take on the Dodgers, who have been one of the best all year long.
Yeah, it will definitely be an exciting game.
Yes. That said, who do you? It's still early in the playoffs. Obviously, one game has happened. Who do you have winning the whole thing?
Winning the whole thing, I don't know. I know who I don't want, and I do not want the Astros just because I'm an A's fan. The Astros are cheaters through and through, so
yes.
I don't want the Astros to win. I think they'll go far, but I'm going to say that the Rays are going to make it into the World Series. I think the Rays can definitely do it from the AL side. Then in terms of the National League side, I don't know too much about National League teams, but I would put my money on either the Dodgers or the Giants. Part of me says that the Giants have been a great team this year, don't get me wrong, but they also don't have the star players, and I don't know. They have a lot of veterans on the team, so that experience will definitely come in handy when it comes to the postseason. But yeah, I would say the Dodgers and the Rays maybe, but again, I absolutely hate choosing the same teams from last season to be in the World Series, but I want to go with anyone else.
I have got the Giants winning the whole thing this year, kind of for the reasons you said. They don't really have the star power, but I think they make it up by playing as a team and playing well as a unit. They got a lot of veteran guys. They had the best regular season record. They've been consistent all year when they got super hot or anything. They just played great all year round. So I give me the Giants to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
I think we're going to end it off here with
quick fact.
A little fun fact.
Yeah, so again, another shout out to CJ Westlow, one of my dorm mates. So this fact is pretty spectacular.
It's heinous.
Yeah. In the last 44 years, the Seattle Mariners have had more ruptured testicles than playoff berths.
I don't know what part of that fact is more painful, if I'm being honest. I don't know which is worse.
Yeah.
Both are very, very bad.
Yeah.
44 years is a long time, to have so few playoff berths. But it's also such a short time to have so many ruptured testicles.
Yeah.
It really is, difficult to mentally, grasp arm to that. But it's true. So, I hope the Mariners find themselves with better luck in years to come.
And also, with all those ruptured testicles, the only kind of berths that they'll get are the playoff berths. So
that's true.
I just had to add that in. But yeah. Anyways, though,
dude.
as we digress and come back, that is going to be the end of the show. Thank you so much again for joining us. If you're new, thank you for watching. We really appreciate all the support from all of you guys out there.
Yes.
Make sure to subscribe down below, like this video, share it with all your friends, your family, your aunts, uncles, whatever. It's a huge help to us if you guys just help us get our name out there. You guys have been great. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at the Jack and Ian Show. It would be up here, but we left the expo marker.
We did.
But anyways, yeah. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.